Objects of War is a project that I started in 1999. The reason for me to do this project was my strong desire to narrate or to express something of the experience of the Lebanese war, and to question the notion of history. How do I approach history? How do I what image do I have of these wars? And very quickly, I was interested in the idea of subjectivities, and the idea that there was no such thing as one history or one truth regarding the Lebanese war. I was interested in the idea of alternative discourse, something that was a bit to give some visibility to discourses that were either concealed or were ignored. This project contained in its essence its own failure, in the sense that at the same time that I had the temptation to recount that history of the Lebanese war, I knew that I was unable to do so, and that there will always be some missing information, some missing elements or testimonies, or because I wouldn't have access to everything, but also because of the process of memory itself is something that has its own failure and gaps and etc. In order to trigger these subjectivities, or in order to trigger these narratives, I asked each participant to choose an object that was very personal to them, that was familiar. It could have been a very usual object, it could have been something extraordinary. What mattered is that they chose that object in relation to their own experience of the war. And the object became then the trigger for these stories, for each participant's stories. And the object became also itself a document of that time, a relic. I always show the object along with the video testimonies, except really in very rare cases. The objects are shown along because, like I said, they are themselves a document of these wars. To me, these objects are extraordinary even when they are banal, because they are so various and they are so different than the things that one could expect. It was from the start, and the idea was to be an ongoing project, because there is no such thing as a beginning or an end or hierarchy in these interviews. So as long as I would encounter people and I would have the desire to continue, the project continued. And so in 2006, at the invitation of Okwi and Vezor to participate in the Seville Biennale, I produced Objects of War number 3 and 4. But 2006 was a summer, was the Israeli attack on Lebanon following Hezbollah's kidnapping of 2 soldiers. So as I was continuing my project Objects of War number 4, the participant of Objects of War number 4 speaks of the 2006 war. But what's interesting is the participant of the 2006 Objects of War number 4, some of them who were old enough to live both wars were able to relate to both and to speak of both experience. For instance, Mazen Kerbej speaks of the civil war as a child, while in the 2006 war he's an adult who has a child. So the object, like I said, is a trigger for these narratives and these stories. It was really the physicality of the object, like almost an archaeological finds, was important. And this is why there was never another edition that was made of photograph. And for me, like I said, it was very important that these objects are displayed almost like in a museum display. They refer, the whole project borrows from different methodology, from sociology, from ethnography, from archaeology. It borrows this kind of language, of course, from documentary practice as well, but the project works because of a certain also systematicism in the approach, which is always talking heads, testimonies facing, the person comes, introduce himself or herself present the object, and then the object is given to me. The object is displayed with a label with the name of the owner and the name of or the name of the origin, and then the name of the object, the description of the object itself. The person that I chose, of course, I started by the people that were close to me, like my grandmother. And some friends, artist friends, but also some. I really I didn't focus on one background. There is like a multiplicity of background, of social background, but also, of course, of different of people from different religions, but also who have different approach. Some testimonies are very emotional. Some of them are very theoretical. Some are more like journalistic. It really depends on the person. But I would say that I started by people close to me, but then I extended. Some friends recommended me to film this person or this person, and then it gradually grew into various people from really various backgrounds. I even filmed, and I also include not only Lebanese. For me, the Lebanese wars were also experienced by non-Lebanese who were living here, such as migrant workers from Philippines, for instance, or such as Palestinians from the camps, etc. So there are a few participants that are not Lebanese, and I think this is also important to always be reminded that some people who lived here were non-Lebanese, but also experienced these wars in a different manner. Objects of War is never shown as a film. Once, maybe in an academic frame, like at Columbia University, I showed it in projection, but it's always shown as a video installation, multimedia installation, because there is no hierarchy and there is no beginning or end. So you can enter the space and you can watch one testimony or 10 testimonies. And the fact that it's together a multiplicity of monitors, at least 2 monitors, and the object create at the same time this intimacy, but also this relation between one interview here and another interview there, with the idea that it's an ongoing archive.